Glendale Supercross was the best race of the year. I mean, we got to witness 3 different winners in the 450 class. Triumph got their first ever win in the 250 class, but we got some horrible news. Jett Lawrence has officially torn his ACL. We did not want to hear that news. I mean, I think anybody that watches Supercross, you didn't want to see him get hurt because you wanted to see great competition, right?
When they were trying to say that, oh, he just hyperextended and it was just some pain, I wasn't really buying that, because you would think these guys are like super duper tough, every single one of them. You have to be to race this sport. He didn't even try to turn his handlebars for the turn to go into the rhythm. Like, as soon as Buddy's foot hit the ground, he just was beelined for off the track.
From my point of view, because we're like, obviously we're sitting right next to each other because we were at the event or whatever, but looking at the race, I was focused on Sexton because he got a great start with Hunter Lawrence, and then no BS, I watched the whole lap go around with those two in the lead, and then I look over to you guys, I'm like, where the heck is Jett?
Yeah.
I had no idea Jett was pulled off on this track, and then like you guys were yelling at me like, knee injury. I was like, dude, no freaking way, because going into that race, he had a decent start, don't get me wrong. He was like top 7 right there, and you know Jett, and he was quick on that on the night and stuff. He was going in with it at 2-2. He had a potential to win that, right?
I thought it was a bike thing because he kept looking down, and so I thought, like, you know, someone got into his spokes or something. Sweet, his bike's cooked, and now the race is completely wide open, and the season. And then I saw him like holding his leg, and I was sad. Like, oh, nobody wants anyone to go out that way, you know.
I wish him a speedy recovery, and that freaking sucks, man. Going into Glendale, we've had different winners. Yep. I mean, and Chase is the first time winning twice now. And he didn't even win a main event, which is crazy to think about. Cooper Webb looked like he was back too. He straight up beat Jett in that first race, which was insane. Ken Roczen straight up beat Jett in the second race, which was insane. And then Tomac all night had the speed, bro. He had the speed. If he could have just gotten that like start in the first second like he did in the third, he would have gone 1-1-1. Like, no BS.
To piggyback and add to that, personally, I think if Tomac gets a start like 7th or higher, he'd be undefeated this year in all the races. I don't think anyone has the pace that he does. Like, he's just 15 seconds back on the first lap. You know what's
even crazier too is if you guys go back and watch main event number 2 with Chase and Eli. Chase was absolutely flying on the track. I mean, flying, and Eli caught him. Like no BS. Chase and Eli caught Jett, and they were buried. And like Eli caught up to Jett. It was insane how fast they were going. And then the track didn't allow us to make many passes, right? But dude, like, you're right, man. If Tomac gets a start, he's probably undefeated.
But honestly, I kind of think the same thing for Sexton. Like, if Sexton pulls whole shot all of these races, I think he's probably undefeated too. Like, those two seem the fastest to me this year. Like, Jett definitely looked more like Jett at Glendale than he has all year. But Sexton's speed is insane. But I still think that Tomac is the fastest dude. And I mean, I'm a big fan of Tomac, so, you know, whatever. But especially even in person, like, Tomac looks faster than everybody, you know, like, just looks
that's
half
the
a second faster.
Same thing with like Chase too, man. Like, they look like they're on another level. Like, when was the last time you saw both of those guys catch a Jett, right? And to put it on top of that, Ken Roczen was still winning that race, which was even crazier.
Yeah, in the first race, Cooper Webb like gapped everybody.
Yeah,
I was like
gapped.
Yeah.
Which, I mean,
yeah, it's crazy.
Jett does look like he's, barring any injury, right? Before the injury, he looked like he was somewhat back, but also didn't, if that kind of makes sense. Like, you don't normally see Jett, I'm not necessarily saying settling for second, but I felt like usually he gets around, like when he catches those guys for first, he gets around them. We saw it at A2 when he got around Jason. He caught Kenny, couldn't get around him. He caught Webb, couldn't get around him. And so kind of surprising on that. I really hope we hear the news on Jett and it's nothing, and he's back for Tampa. Like, I don't want any injuries. I want that title fight.
We were just talking about this over the weekend, that he's the only one that really makes me nervous about going on a run. Like, I don't think the other guys are consistent enough with their starts or just consistent enough in general. Jett's the only one that I'm like, gosh, if he could get a whole shot every week and then just check out, but he's kind of buried in points now. And so, I mean, I think he's only 15 or 13 to 17 points back or something.
He's 13 points back on Chase right now.
Which isn't, for kind of DNFing that third race, isn't as much as I was expecting. But still, he's super far back in comparison to the other guys. So, I mean, at least we got, if he comes back at Tampa, we've got like 3 to 5 rounds of at least hoping.
Yeah, like it's... And you know what's even crazier too for this year? Like we've been saying that this is the best year so far, right? But like, who expected Ken Roczen to be on the box 3 out of the 4 rounds? I don't think anybody. Yeah, like I don't think anybody predicted that. Also, Eli's only been on the box once this whole time, and it was a win. Like that's even crazier.
Yeah, it's crazy for like how good he's riding. And how fast he is, it's ridiculous. Like, yeah, I don't know. Kenny doing so well this year is such a cool thing. And it blows my mind that all the big lines, other than the one quad and the long rhythm, all the other big lines, Kenny was the first one to pull the trigger on all of them. And it's super cool to see, like, Kenny, somebody posted something of Kenny after the race when he got third, and he was, like, pissed. And that's awesome, in my opinion, because that, to me, like, Kenny being mad for third after all those years of like rebuilding, that's a good sign. And if you're a Kenny fan, like, I'm excited that he's mad that he got P3, you know.
Also with Kenny, it doesn't look like he's fading, man. No. Like even in that second race when he won, yeah, Jett caught him and stuff. But he even mentioned like he messed up the rhythms a couple times, which to me is not necessarily fading. He just messed up his a couple of mistakes, and that's the best part about this Ken Roczen this year. Is in the past he's always faded back and you get like 5th or 6th, but every single race this year he's been right there for either a podium or second place or win. Like, and that's the best thing that we can ask for. I'm hoping. When we get to the East Coast, man, you mentioned this too. He's super good on that dirt. He's super good in the ruts. How will that play a factor? Will he continue with this?
Like, he's going to win Indy. You know, you can kind of not guarantee, but like he's very good at Indy. That first main event at Glendale, because Kenny was buried. And I was really, you know, he was my prediction to win. So I was really focused on him and just, it's Glendale. I was excited to watch him. And dude, the way he just bodied that pack, and he got to 4th in like 2 laps and was so far back. And yeah, I don't know, that was sick. He just, his opening few laps is just incredible. I don't understand.
On that same thing with Chase that second, he was buried, like, and he did the same thing. It was gnarly. One surprise for the weekend for me though, Justin Hill, 6 overall. Dude, he was barking with Kenny too. I believe in that third race, he was barking with Kenny and trying to make, like, they were going back and forth, block passing each other. It was awesome to watch. I think that was a really good redemption ride for Justin compared to the last couple weeks.
Did you see his Instagram post where he talked about, so apparently in that first race, because he did pretty good in the first race, pretty terrible in the second race, and then like really good in the third race. I guess he like pulled his calf muscle or something. He overjumped the quad and like cooked his leg. And then the second race, you know, he got a massage or a doctor or whatever to fix him up. And so the second race, he was really like nervous that he was going to do it again. And then he made it through and it was fine. And then the third race, he just sent it. And that's why he did so good. But yeah, I mean, huge considering that, even on top of it all, like, yeah, he looks really good.
I mean, he beat out Jason, technically Jett, but if we don't count Jett there, Jason, Aaron, Malcolm, Dylan, I mean, Justin Barsha, Jay Coop. I mean, like, he's on a privateer team, bro, and he's beating out these factory guys.
You see that thing where it said, speaking of privateer teams, that Kenny was like the first non-factory 450 holder ever, like red plate holder ever?
Really? Are we not considering that the Suzuki factory team?
It's because his it said because his engine isn't Like it's not a factory engine. It's built by a private company.
Oh, really?
Hmm.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I just saw some Instagram post that said it was the first time in the 450 class a red plate holder has been held by someone that didn't have like a factory engine.
That's crazy. Yeah, we're getting treated to a special year for sure.
Yeah,
bro.
it's sick. Every race is awesome.
Jumping over to the 250 class, though, I mean, Cole Davies, 100% my biggest surprise of the night, bro. Like,
But he's him.
bro, I predicted him to win the race, but I didn't predict him to go 1-1 right off the gate.
He was gonna go 1-1-1 too. That's for sure. Like there was
Yeah.
no doubt in my mind he was gonna sweep that.
Yeah, that was crazy. Cole was on another level, dude.
Yeah, I mean, as a big fan too, I kind of expected him to do well. He had a lot of pressure too. And it wasn't just like he got a good start and then everyone else was buried and he gapped a bunch of privateers. I mean, that first race, Jordon Smith was all over him the whole time. Like the whole time. And Davies made some mistakes and Jordan was on him, like, you know, within a second of him a few times. And the thing that's impressed me the most with Cole is it doesn't seem like anything bothers him. Like he doesn't get flustered. Like his riding simply doesn't change from lap 1 to the end, regardless of what's happening. Even when he crashed in the third race, and I almost think this may have hindered him a little bit, but it looked like he just went straight back into like just clicking practice laps off, like got up from the crash, and then it doesn't even look like, and this is just obviously, it's the same thing with Jett, where it doesn't even look like they're trying, right? Like their riding style is so smooth that it just looks like they're just back at it. But for him to go 1-1 and then be buried, I really expected him to look like he was hanging it out. Doesn't. It looks like he's just gets back up and then there's just a robot again, like perfect form, just right back to, you know, hitting all the lines. And no matter if he's under pressure, he doesn't look behind him at the guys. He doesn't seem nervous. And like, I saw a comment on something where it was one of his interviews and it said a guy that nonchalant is dangerous. And it like facts. It's like, that's exactly how I feel. Like the buddy's just riding, you know, like
It's crazy.
Yeah.
He looks like a vet out there, dude. Like you mentioned, like someone I think commented and said he looks like Chad Reed, like just super fucking solid. And honestly, he surprised me a lot, even coming back from that horrible third race. Like you mentioned, he's not hanging it out there. He's riding precise. He ticked off everything. Like all the passes were like calculated and where he was going to take over the spots. And I mean, even to get back up to 8th from being over a half a lap down.
Yeah, he was really far back. It wasn't like he got a bad start and was just last. He was like last and then 10 seconds. Like he was really far back.
It was gnarly. And to be fair, I don't even think he was that far back from like the group ahead of him either when he finished the race. Another thing with Cole too is that second race, bro, he had Deegan on his butt the whole time. And Deegan couldn't even get by him. Like, Cole is for real. Like if he had that better start in the third race, if he had a couple better starts in the beginning of the rounds, we might be saying Cole Davies is right there for the title hunt. I mean, he's still mathematically involved.
Yeah, I was gonna say, considering how it's going with some of their inconsistencies and crashes, I'm not really counting him out yet. You know, I mean, clearly he can win, you know, and winning is not a problem. So I would expect him to get at least a win this year.
Yeah, he's 15 points down on Juju, and we just saw anything can happen, man. And we got East-West showdowns too.
Yeah.
So I mean,
imagine he wins the East-West showdown.
Best rookie of the year, man. Rookie of the year.
Not on anybody's radar at all going into this season, and then is just the guy.
And that could be a huge point shakeup if he wins that, and the other West Coast guys are buried because some of the East Coast guys are stacked, right? So
yeah. I don't know. Deegan's looking interesting this year. I don't know.
I'll say it. He looks kind of mid. I'll say it. I mean, let's be real. Yeah, he went out in A2 and dominated, right? I mean, in Glendale, what happened? Can someone explain to me? I don't want to be wrong. Did he get arm pump? Did something happen?
For being a West Coast kid, I feel like if he was racing East, it would be different because the tracks are so gnarly. Like, I feel like he needs gnarly to do well. Like and I even saw Brian was talking about that in something that Brian was in, where Brian was talking about how Haiden struggles in Soupy because he can't just like out gnarly everybody, which is why he does so good in outdoors. Is like the track's super deep, everyone's just tired and it's horrible. It's really hard to ride, and Deegan's just fitter and stronger and willing to send it more than everyone else. But you can't really do that in Soupy. I mean, you can, but it's just not the same. And he's been making a lot of mistakes. And
Well, that's the thing. If you do that, you make a lot of mistakes.
Right. Yeah, I mean, speaking of mistakes, when he scrubbed the wall before the finish line, I watched that in person. It was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah,
like
dude.
all the sparks off his pegs and stuff. That was sick.
Going to his finishes, though, I mean, third, second, fourth. And that third race, it didn't look like he was moving forward, man. Like, they weren't far ahead of him. Like, he had a decent start. Like, and even in the first race, too, he had a decent start and then made that mistake and went down. Second race, Cole beat him straight up. He was behind him the whole entire race.
Kind of expected him to be super dominant and then, like, crashing and not winning. You know, like, so much faster, but then crash, and then he would get second or fourth or whatever. But I really didn't see him being settling for seconds and thirds and fourths, or whether he's settling or just doesn't have the pace. I don't think anyone saw that, but
I didn't see him getting beat by his rookie teammate.
No.
So I don't think anybody predicted that.
Not like
either.
straight up like that.
No, like that's what I'm saying. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. I'd be curious on like a rough track. Like if we get a deep, ruddy West Coast race, like if one of the East Coast showdowns, because they're kind of like in between, right? Like if we get,
I think Arlington might be a little bit ruddy because of the
right.
dirt.
If we get like
Seattle.
a ruddy West Coast track, I would anticipate him to dominate. Yeah, it seems strange for being a West Coast kid. He like seems like the hard pack stuff he kind of struggles on, but I wonder, like you said, if that's just down to he's just, you know, right trigger wide open the whole time, and
Maybe.
I don't know.
And then, but we got to talk about probably the most consistent guy this year. First ever win for Triumph, aka Jordon Smith, absolutely flying out there. His scores for the night were 2-3-1, so very, very consistent. And to be fair, he probably has the red plated if he doesn't go over the bars and the whoops at A2. And so on the last lap, and he's very lucky to get fourth there too with that big gap that he had. He almost looks like the most consistent guy out there. He even said it in his like interviews after the race. He was like, we talked about the lines that we're gonna hit. We're not changing them, and we're just gonna hit it every single lap, and it worked out.
Yeah, he looks really good. His whip speed's ridiculous. And we were talking about this in the car ride back to the house after the race. This isn't about Jordon, but more about Triumph. Sorry, Jordon. But if that bike looks that good, Austin Faulkner's about to be a demon in East Coast. That was my worry. If you go back, but both of our worries really, if we're going into East, we weren't really sure on the Triumph, but if the Triumph looks great, like really good, and if that's how the bike is, and Faulkner is riding well, which apparently he was good enough to be going west, so now he's got, you know, however many more weeks on the bike, like Faulkner's about to be a demon in East.
The bike looks very settled, if that kind of makes sense. It doesn't look like it's going out, or like even in like the whoops with Jordon, obviously he's super good in whoops, but the bike doesn't look like it's moving anywhere, dude. It looks like he wants to place it somewhere, it's going there. And so that's good to see.
It really does. Like, I don't really pay attention to bikes, like how the bikes look, unless they look really bad. You know, I mean, I'm not like critiquing how the bike looks. I don't really know enough, but that one looks good. I mean, really good everywhere.
If you think about it, think about what happened with Jed in that first week with his bike just being everywhere, right? When we watched it through, like, it was bouncing basically everywhere he went. And then you go look at Jordon, it's just solid everywhere.
Yeah, that would be, imagine he wins the chip.
Bro, that would be crazy.
Yeah, I'd have to like apologize.
For real, he's 2 points down on Juju. Juju had a off night to be fair, he pulled 2 out of the 3 hole shots and then crashed. And so if he doesn't crash, he most likely gets top 3 in both races, I would assume. But
yeah, those are goober mistakes though.
Yeah, like the first one, just front wash in the corner. Second one, I don't even know. Maybe he just went in too fast into the roller after the start.
He like tried to scrub it, like just like kind of like lean and turn into it, and his front just whoop.
But salvaging a 4th and keeping the red plate, that's huge for Juju.
He was ripping.
Yeah, like that's huge for Juju. And then we got a Michael Mosiman showing, finally. Dude, he looked great out there. We also have to talk about the PC curse, just a tiny bit. Drew Adams breaks his collarbone in practice. And yeah, like the PC curse is real, bro.
Dude, I don't understand.
Dude, there's also a rumor that McAdoo crashed. There's a rumor about that. I'm like, dude, you cannot be serious. Like, Weed said it on his Weed show. I'm like, dude, you cannot be serious right now.
I don't understand, dude. Like, it has to be something with the bike, right? Like, it has to be the way we'll figure this out. If Austin Forkner makes it through a season, it's the couch.
100%. 100%.
Like, if Forkner doesn't like wad himself, it's the couch. There's 100%. No other way. And I don't understand how that's like. I don't know.
I don't know, man. Kind of crazy. But shout out to Garrett Marchbanks for coming back in 6th. Little sneaky right here. Anthony Bourdon got 7th, bro. I don't even remember watching him at the stadium.
Yeah. I saw him something in practice. He was ripping, but I don't remember anything else. I mean, yeah, that class was wild. So
it's crazy. Let's jump over to just like experiencing it there in person. I will say straight up, I might go to the pits next year and then go home and watch the race on TV. I'm not gonna lie. Although I loved it, but like, bro, my eyes hurt afterwards. My throat is gone. Well, my body hurts.
For the viewer, we did get there at 8 in the morning.
Yes,
like
we did.
7:45 or something. So if you just, which we needed to, because he was pitting for Scott. I mean, personally, anytime I'm going to Supercross, I'm going as soon as this is what I do at every race. When Hangtown was, by my house, I would go sit at Hangtown at like 6:30 in the morning. As soon as they let the gates open, I'd be sitting on the track just chilling because I don't know, I love it and I don't really care. But Supercross, it is a lot to be there for. I mean, we were there for like 14 hours.
It was crazy.
Like, that's a long time to be there. But dude, it was so. I mean, think about like we met AP. We talked to Davies. We talked to like all kinds of people.
We got to go inside Kawasaki's trailer, which was
sick.
Yeah,
that was crazy.
Yeah, that was so cool. I helped Scott Meshy out with pitboard and like some of his mechanic work. I didn't do nothing really, to be honest. But I was there. But
stripping bolts.
But yeah, being down, I got to do track walk, bro. The track. Doing track walk and then watching it, dude, it's insane how big this track is, or Glendale was, and like some of the rhythms that people are hitting, it's insane, bro. Like, I don't know how people do it. And then I was telling Scott and you guys, like, how do they do this first lap? Like, I'm a wuss. I would be putting around first lap.
Yeah, they come out and just rip the triple second lap.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that triple that they were all doing that Ken Roczen first did over the finish. TV made that thing look so mid, like so average. When that jump, like, I don't know, that is if that was a normal rhythm section where they had like a couple 5s and 3s or whatever in there, I think that would be, you could call that a 5, maybe a 6.
Like, I would say 5. So Supercross triple is 75 feet. That was 84 feet. So, and like most singles, I would say are probably 5 to 6 feet apart.
That thing,
so I mean,
so big,
dude. Like, it shot you so high up too. It's crazy.
Even the wall to the finish that they were jumping. Which, why did you take the roller out, you goobers? Anyway, like, but that was huge, and TV really didn't make it look very big. And like, if you're like watching and you haven't gone to Supercross, like, you need to go. And those walls are literally just vertical walls, and they're not letting off and just sending. It's so sick. But Yeah. I mean, it was a good day. It was a long day.
I was
But
helping Scott with the pit board. You could see Justin Starling, shout out to the boy. He did the quad in Group B Q2. And bro, like I saw him, I looked and I saw him in the air. I'm like, holy cow, bro, he's so high up, dude. I couldn't believe it. But yeah, like you said, you got to experience it at least once. But like I mentioned, I might go for the pit, like get that early entry, go hang out with everybody, and go home and watch it. Like,
dude,
that ass.
those industry like pit passes that we had,
Clutch.
those are goated. The value, and obviously you have to know somebody or be involved somehow in order to get them. But if you can, dude, the value of those little wristbands is insane, and they're not very expensive. And I don't think you have to pay for parking, and you get your private access in and out of the pits all day long.
Even after the night show too, which is
After
crazy.
the night show, yeah. And when everyone's just walking around, and dude, I mean, I had fun. I mean, shoot, I flew in at 8 p.m. We were at the freaking race at 8 a.m. and then I flew out at 4 a.m. or we were in the car at 4 a.m.
Crazy
and I didn't
weekend.
get home until 10 p.m. that night. So I'm cooked. But I mean, anytime you have the chance to go to Super, you go, you know.
For real. Yeah, overall we had a great experience, and we even met some of you guys. I know that a lot of you guys came up and said hi to us, which was super freaking sick, and super grateful that you guys support us like that. So thank you guys so much for the love on these videos. It means a lot because we really enjoy doing them. Even when our voices are gone and we're dead tired, we're still here, baby. So we're going to continue with them.
Fell asleep on a wood floor for 4 hours today and woke up, and here we are.
Yep, for real. Yeah, make sure you guys hit that like button because we definitely need it. And we'll catch you guys back here tomorrow for the Riders ratings. So we're out. Peace.